Good morning, everyone. So, 7th of March, the days are ticking by, and it's day 183, I think it is. It's a grey, dark, overcast day today, and just starting to rain in La Sable d'Olonne, but it's warm, about 6 degrees, thanks to the rain. So, a few fun things happening on the tracker. I've had 5 emails overnight from people reminding me to mention that, mention something special. I'll tell you in a minute. and certainly there's lots of fun going on between Abolish and Kirsten, and Googs getting hot now. He's getting quite warm as the temperature goes up, and Simon's cancelled his ETA. Now, what's all that about? Well, Simon set ETAs when he was coming to Hobart, and that didn't work. And then he said ETAs getting to Cape Horn, that didn't work. Yesterday, he set an ETA on his SoundCloud and said he'll be in La Sable d'Olonne on the 5th of May, but he's cancelled that now. He doesn't want to tempt fate. So that's cool. And Kirsten's about to tie a knot. That's basically what that's talking about. But it's tying a knot in a circumnavigation, but it's not recognised in some ways. But it's an important moment. And what else is happening? Abolish said that he's going so slow that he thinks there must be a gate around, because every time he went to a gate, he'd start to slow down with high pressure systems and stuff. Anyway, so moving right along to the tracker, let's go straight to the back of the fleet and look at what Ian's doing. He had a bit of wind yesterday and says, I think he was getting a bit nervous about going south, and asked for a forecast. But I said, don't stress, everything's okay. It's going to back off. So right now he's doing 4.7 knots. He's just rolled over to the 8 o'clock position, did 125 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. So he's looking pretty good, and he's going to have a reasonable run for the next few days. Jeremy, on the other hand, has just come out the back of a bit of a blow, and he's settling down. That was a tricky one because the wind changed from northwest to pretty quickly to a good southwesterly. So that will create some interesting seas for him. He hasn't come up with a tweet this morning. Sea state's, quite solid. That's a good 6 meters there. He's getting 5 to 6 meters seas, and it would be a bit confused this morning. Wind strength is he's probably getting, that's in the middle of it. There he was getting 30s, gusting 40s, maybe up to 45. So he's had his hand full, and he's now coming out the back end of it, and it should all start to settle down. So that's pretty cool. So the last, he's doing 5.1 knots, the last 24 hours, 123 nautical miles, which is pretty good, all things considered. But yeah, I think he's had an interesting night, a bit tough. It'll be wet and woolly and cold. So coming back a bit, and we'll look at the weather for both of them going forward over the next 24 and 36 hours. In fact, I'll go probably 3 or 4 days. I want to show you there's a bit of a storm coming for Jeremy. So this is just rolling through every hour, as you know, so it all looks pretty good right through. Even Ian's got a pleasant breeze there to bring him down south a bit, and it's around midnight tonight, and then going right through until 24 hours from now. There's 24 hours now. So all pretty good. Ian's got a good following breeze. It'll start to pick up. He'll be getting 30s in there, gusting 35, maybe 5 meter seas. And Jeremy's, it's all been dying down, but it's about to pick up with this nor'wester. So the first day, the next 24 hours is all good for these guys. And then it starts to get a little bit interesting. So moving right along, you'll see the northwesterly is picking up for Jeremy. Ian's doing okay. It won't last long, but that's probably forecast 30 knots, gusting 45 again. And so the sea will be picking up again to about 6 meters, and then it comes back into a solid westerly. So that's the beginning. It's not going to let up for him at that stage. And in fact, if we look at the projected waves there, you'll see that's still holding up quite high. That's a good 5 to 6 meters. So he's in the thick of it, and he's now going to have the run of a couple of days of solid Southern Ocean weather, which is what you get when you're going to be in this part of the world, right around Cape Horn. So I'll just hit that again and keep it rolling. So this is coming up to 48 hours from now. He's enjoying the Southern Ocean, you could say. Anyway, then it gets kind of interesting because there's this big blow coming up behind. Now, on the 9th, it's starting to get quite interesting. What we've said to him, I put him on a weather alert. I said, look, there's a storm coming. And what I'm suggesting for now is that you try not to go below 53 degrees south. It gets a bit tricky because this one coming is quite a big one. But he's currently on 52 degrees south. Okay. And I've said, try not to go below 53 right through until 1000 Zulu on the 10th. So he needs to try and stay up in this area if he can. This one here on the 9th is going to bring some big winds and so on, but it's all from the same wind direction. So the sea and the swell will be increasing. He could be getting big swells, but seas breaking on those are a little bit less. So that's the concern there. Ian up the back here is just coming down in this stuff. 2 days from now, he's going to be down here somewhere. And I'll just peg it now. This is 7, 8, 9, about 2 days. So that'll be a couple 100 miles. So Jeremy by then will be over here somewhere. He'll be around about here in a couple of days' time without going too far south. So I'll hit that and keep scrolling it through. So Jeremy will be about where the cursor is. And then that one rolls over. And then here's the big thing sneaking up from the bottom. That's come through on the 10th. So you can see, I've looked at it at windy. I won't pull windy in yet, but that's why we want to keep him up a little bit high, because if he normally would come down there, he's going to impact that. Interestingly, every time we're getting a forecast, it's now dropped down a little bit. Again, it's changed. I looked at it 6 o'clock this morning, 3 hours ago, and it was actually up a little bit higher. So generally, that's a good thing. It's going down underneath. So you can see we're just trying to keep him away from that, keep him up here somewhere. And then when that goes through, he may have a reasonable run. Meanwhile, in the background here with Ian, he's had pretty good run. There's no storms there. He's just got solid Southern Ocean westerlies. Okay, so Ian's looking pretty good right through the 11th and 12th. And then Jeremy, once that one goes through, he'll be down here somewhere. He's still going to get some heavy weather, but he might miss the big one down south, especially if it keeps going south. Then he can bolt for the Horn, and then he might stop between a couple, but there's some more coming. You'll see here, that one just bunched up on Cape Horn, and then there's this other one here. He's going to be squeezed on that. He could be in here, but you can't avoid that. He's got to go around. But if we can keep him away a little bit, and we'll route him every day now, if that system on the 10th goes a little bit further south, I'll say, okay, you can come down to 53 and a half or something. So anyway, something to watch there for Jeremy. I'm sure he can handle it all, and we'll keep him updated on what to expect. Okay, and Ian's looking okay. So now we come into Simon and Captain Goog. Goog's got the stronger end of the weather here. It's pretty solid. I'm impressed that he's managing to hold his course, because that's been solid northwesterlies there, and he's really holding up. So it makes me think the sea state might not be, well, that's pretty solid. He's probably got 4 metre seas, 4.5 metre seas maybe, and he's really holding it to stay on the run line. He doesn't want to go out to the east too far. So I think he's putting up with a bit of discomfort there to keep going, but he said he's getting warm. He's throwing away the kiddie blanket, down below. So anyway, Simon's doing 5.4 knots, enjoying the ride there. He's got the wind 4 to the beam as well, but a lot less. Goog's doing 5.4 knots as well, 105 nautical miles in the day. Simon's done 136, so he's pulled away a little bit more. I didn't do some of the distances. I'll do that now, just coming back here without confusing you. Everyone wants to know how far has Jeremy got to go to Cape Horn. Okay, so he's only about 750 miles from Cape Horn. Okay, and coming up here to look at Simon and Goog. Simon's now 240 miles away from Goog. He's pulled away quite a bit, and he's absolutely not racing. Of course he's not. No. Anyway, and here's the other interesting one. Seeing we're here already, we go to Abolish, 570 miles. And on the rum line, if we say this is the rum line, Simon's about, 550 miles behind. It's only a few days. And even from Kirsten now, if we go here, she's about 1,000 miles behind Kirsten. So that's all rather interesting. Now, I'll just try and focus on, I don't want to get you too excited about the weather for Abolish and Kirsten yet. So we'll just look at this one and roll it through for, pick it up one. We're right in the middle here. Anyway, we'll try that. So see what's likely to happen as it goes through. So that high pressure system, no, I don't like that. You need to be able to see the systems. See, this is the system that's affecting everyone right now. It's affecting Kirsten, Abelish, as well as Simon and Goog. It's all going around there. It's only a small one, but I'd say the centre of this, the pressure is quite high because it's got a lot of influence. Anyway, without giving a commentary on Kirsten and Abelish yet, I'm just talking about Simon here. He's going to go a little bit quiet, but they'll be looking forward to that. Although now it gets really dead boring because for Simon, he's got light headwinds have gone to headwinds, and Goog's going to drive into the middle of that hole. So now we're over day 2. So this is 24 hours, 30 hours in front now. So Goog's going to drive into this soft patch, and Simon's going to come into the headwinds. And interesting to see what happens. I think he'll try and hold on port tack and go where Kirsten's going. He actually has a game plan where he wants to be, and we'll talk about that in a minute. He's mentioned it in his SoundCloud yesterday. So then Simon's into the same system as Abelish, which makes for some interesting sailing, if nothing else. He's going to be hunting down Abelish, or he just wants to get up there as quick as he can, even though he's not racing. And Goog's left behind in a bit of a mess there. You've got light headwinds again. So they both cop it. So in the next couple of days, light winds for Goog and not going fast, and then light headwinds, and Simon's going to get into the headwind routine. Although coming out to the east, it's pretty much on the beam, on the northeast rather, it's on the beam. So I don't think he'll be complaining too much. He'll probably start going reasonably well. So that's enough for them. Now we'll come down to Abelish and Kirsten, the lead pack. So it's very interesting right now because I think you can see here we pick this up. So Abelish is well and truly into this northeasterly gradient, which is a spin-off of the trades, which I'll show you in a minute. So that's his life for the next few days. Interestingly, Kirsten's finally started moving. So she's doing 5.6 knots at the moment, did 100 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. Abelish has done 76 nautical miles in the last 24 hours, and he's only doing 4.2. So he's definitely got it well forward of the beam. And that's probably, the Rust 36 goes to windward really well, but sea state is part of it. You can only push so hard into the waves. And there he's got more than 2 meters. So he's got 2.5 meters, I suppose. It'll get better as he goes forward, but it's bouncing around, it's wet, and it's not as fast as not going to windward. Now, Kirsten, on the other hand, has got a breeze, it's showing now, on her starboard side coming up from the southeast. It's absolutely perfect, but how long is it going to last? Now, I'm going to look at the micro weather here and just project this well. But before we do, I want to... Oh, no, we'll stick with the micro weather. No, I won't. I'm going to show you what's happening because this is... Oh, that's too big. Sorry. I'll get rid of this. Okay, so what's happening here is this is the thing that's important because that's the southeasterly trades. There's this big hole here, and that's effectively trying to turn itself into the South Atlantic high, okay? And the first boat into these trades is going to, be established with the weather going all the way up. The good news is that if you're doing that, the further out to the east you are, you can slant off. I mentioned this yesterday, but I just want to point out how important it is. Kirsten's put herself in this position, this easterly position, which is unusual because a lot of the time the sailors will decide to try and sneak up in here and get the breeze, stay away from the center of the high. She's put herself there following ocean passages of the world, which is, what you used to be doing, the route that you'd take if you were a square rigger. So on the law of averages back 100 years ago, 150 years ago, and all the records show that this is the best course for an average square rigger that doesn't go to windward and keeps going, which is a smart move because definitely Rust 36 goes to windward better. She's got a boat with long legs that goes well in heavy weather, downwind, all this sort of stuff, but doesn't necessarily like going to windward. So she's in a great position if she can reach up here first. All right. So that's the first thing I want to explain. Now we'll go back to the micro weather and look at how she might be able to get there pretty quickly. So she's got a favourable wind direction at the moment. Abelish has got these headwinds. Okay. And as we go forward, look at what might happen. First of all, the whole of no wind over here is decreasing, and it's moving quickly. It's getting sucked out to the east. And see here, Kirsten's got a really solid southeaster, okay? And what's happening to that southeaster? As she's going forward, the range of it is also stretching forward. So she's holding in this southeasterly all the way along. Now, Abelish's getting a bit of a slant here. It's moved across to the northeast, so he's picking up a bit. That'll be favourable for him to come out on starboard tack, but he's still getting pushed in towards the coast. Okay. This is micromanagement at the moment, but Kirsten's looking good here. See how that southeasterly has gone up. Now, this is now on the 8th, so it's tomorrow. This is just over, this is about 30 hours away. In 30 hours, she's probably managed 100 miles or so. So she might be up here. She's still inside that range. She hasn't gone past it. Okay, so that's a good thing to remember. And now, as we click it through, it seems to be that overall, Kirsten may just hold this for the next couple of days, and then she could still be in this little band here. I'm not forgetting Abelish. She's just basically got the same. It's going a bit softer. She should be, if this forecast is right, sitting up in this one here, and then that one starts to move, and look what's happening. If I now scan back, she's just about broken through into these southeast trades. So if I now keep going with this, you'll see that little bit of breeze that she might be hanging into here is just about reached across. Okay. There's a possibility. You can see how it's forming together, pushing through. She will possibly push through. Now, the reality then is she's going to be about here. I don't know how many days it's going to take, maybe 3 days or so. But if she's there, if we scroll this down, she's in the perfect position to go for speed and come zipping across here, whereas Abelish should be on the coast. He's got to work his way up against all this stuff again. So all is not lost. The fight is still on with Abelish and Kirsten, and that's kind of fun. Okay, so it's going to be great to watch. And of course, the funny part is that Simon, who's cruising, where's he going to be in 4 or 5 or 6 days' time? I got a feeling he's going to be right on their hammer up here somewhere. So that's even more fun. So what about Kirsten tying the knot? Okay, she just did it. She just hopped across there. You can see this. That was her outbound course here. So she's now tied the knot. And that's like if I flew into the South Pole and walked around the South Pole, which is a big thing stuck in the ice, then I've circumnavigated, because you could do it in like 10 steps, just go and all the way around. And that's effectively what that means. To be sort of recognized as a full circumnavigation, you need to do the circumference of the equator. And everyone knows that the circumference of the equator is 360 degrees. And each of those 360 degrees has got 60 nautical miles in it, or 60 minutes of arc. And if you multiply all that together, it's 21,600 nautical miles around the equator. So you've got to do that. And you can't do that if you stay in one hemisphere. So it is significant. She's the first one in the fleet to, tie the knot. But still a long way to go to Les Sables d'Olonne. So a bit of fun. That's it. We'll see you. Hang on, I've got to go back here to press the right buttons now. Any questions, Jane? No questions? No. Good to get comments. Keep them coming. Good to see where you are, what part of the world, and all that sort of stuff. So thanks very much. And I'll put this one on, and we'll see you tomorrow. See you later.